I wonder how much of an improvement this actually makes for the neighborhood, doing this, knocking this house down.
I can tell you from here, from the residents, every house matters. Getting every blighted house down.
They all like sewers. People raping, killing, they use these houses, drug houses. You know, they're supposed to tear them down at a far more greater, rate that they're doing.
The federal government has been spending a lot of money on Detroit lately. $80 billion on a bailout of the auto industry in 2009. Then, in 2014, creditors lost $7 billion in the biggest municipal bankruptcy in history. So Washington decided to dump $1.4 billion more into revitalizing the dying city. That's why President Obama came to Detroit last week to see if all the money he's been throwing at it is actually turning things around.
There's only one Motor City. There's only one Detroit.
That was the photo op. But what's the situation on the ground actually like?
Police, if you're in here, say something.
So you think a house like this has been used by vagrants?
Oh, most definitely. You know, homeless people, or you can see their clothes. That's not juice, sorry to say. Looks like someone's been using narcotics in here. You put the heroin in, you heat the heroin up. There's a needle over there.
Unfortunately, much of Detroit is like this. The population has been in decline since the 1960s, but just over the last 10 years, there's been a staggering 140,000 foreclosures.
This neighborhood is kind of on a mix. It's kind of a neighborhood on the edge. You can look around and see that there's a lot of vacant buildings. You can look across the street here and see that, there's a church that they are working on here. There's some new construction, and then you have a vacant house. I mean, it's just horrible to look at. We get calls regularly about vacant houses, and they're typically what you would imagine they were. People selling drugs, people loitering. I can definitely tell you that I wouldn't want it in my neighborhood, and I wouldn't want to live around it.
The deterioration is known as blight, and $130 million worth of the federal funding has been directed towards dealing with it. We met the city official who oversees a program funded by the federal money to find out what it does.
I wonder how much of an improvement this actually makes for the neighborhood, doing this, knocking this house down.
I can tell you from here, from the residents, every house matters. Getting every blighted house down.
How many more years you'll have to be doing this to get done?
At the clip we're moving right now, about 5 years, 5 to 6 years.
The reason it's going to take that long? There are about 80,000 abandoned homes in Detroit.
There's phenomenal neighborhoods in Detroit, and they're being held back by blight. But when you get rid of the blight, whether through demolition or through suing the private property owner and putting a family in there through the auction process, you attract more investment to the neighborhoods. So at the bottom line, our overall goal is to attract investment to these neighborhoods.
I'm glad to see that there is starting to tear down a whole lot more houses because they all eyesores. People raping, killing, they use these houses, drug houses. They're supposed to tear them down at a far more greater, rate that they're doing, because if you look around you, you see there's 6 houses on the same side.
Just on this block, too.
Yeah, and that's the ones that I just counted, you know, so.
And this is the first one that they've done on this block?
The first one. This is my community. This is where I grew up at as a little kid. It's been like this for a long time.
I hear you, man. You got kids here, and this neighborhood looks like a war zone, to be honest.
Yeah.
So you demolish the houses. What kind of numbers have you seen in terms of property values going up?
An independent study recently came out. $400 million in aggregate property increase in the areas where we're clustering all of our services. And then that was justification for helping us get the more money out of the federal government.
The study he's talking about was commissioned by Rock Ventures and the Skillman Foundation. It found that efforts to demolish abandoned properties, sell empty adjacent lots, and enforce code violations have actually pushed up nearby home prices by nearly 14%. No small thing in a city where home values usually only go down.
What's the ultimate goal?
Ultimate goal is to grow the population of the city.
But clear out all the abandoned houses, is that possible?
It's absolutely possible. Yeah, I mean, this is Detroit. We put the world on wheels. These are burnout structures and overgrown brush.
There are even those who have seen opportunity in the decay. Driving through an area that recently saw a demolition, we noticed builders working on a boarded-up house. It turned out it too had been slated for demolition. But an investor gave it a second chance.
I've been investing in properties for a little over 5 years now, one property at a time. I look for properties like this and just take my time fixing them up. I actually got to take them off the demos list with the land bank a couple of months ago.
Oh, you mean they were planning to demolish it?
Yeah, this one and actually the one next door.
How much did you have to actually pay for it?
$1,400.
And then what are you planning on doing with it?
Just renting it out. I actually grew up across the street, so I'm just trying to help keep up the neighborhood.
So how many houses on this block that you own?
5.
Major landlord in the area.
Absolutely. Not only am I trying to help the city, but I'm definitely, bringing in income for myself as well. So it's best of both worlds.
So today you've got buses that are running again, streets that are well lit again, new homes and businesses getting off the ground again. Because the auto industry came back, that obviously gave the capacity for Detroit to start coming back.
Parts of Detroit are starting to recover, but much of the city still looks like an urban battlefield. So it's still too early to declare the war on blight won. And with recent revelations of a poisoned water supply in neighboring Flint, the president may have to wait a while before running his final victory lap in Michigan.